right, welcome to OER for Humanities and the Arts. We had a very similar presentation for arts, for the sciences and math and the other STEM subjects. That was last week. This week, we're going to cover very similar content. The main idea is to get some ideas and feedback about what would be helpful for you as someone who teaches humanities and the arts, or as someone that is interested in those subjects. What would promote your positive feelings, but also your engagement with open access resources. You can see here that I've got my contact information there. All the librarians' contact information is actually at the end of the presentation. So feel free to reach out to whichever library staff member you would feel most comfortable with. So what are OERs? They are accessible and free resources for learners. And they are really the start of a conversation. So it's really not so much that you find an accessible and wonderful OER and you're done. It really is a process. The best way that I can describe it is something that I actually read the other day, which is, it's not which textbook do I want to choose for my class and how do I want to use this textbook in my class, but rather, what do my students need? What do they want to learn? What do I want them to know? And then what resources can complement that goal and meet those needs? And that can be challenging. So they're accessible and free resources for learners, which is wonderful, but it is the start of a conversation and it does take time. That's probably one of the most challenging things about OERs, and we'll talk about that towards the end. OERs are also a great tool for connection among the faculty, students, and the library. So students can obviously access those resources for free, but finding them can be challenging. And it does take a whole team of people to get a course moved from predominantly relying on textbooks that you purchase to incorporating OER materials. It takes a long time, and what's exciting about it is that there's a lot to learn and a lot to figure out what you like and what will work and what won't. But it's not necessarily an easy process. However, it really is great because it promotes collaboration in learning what faculty want, learning what the students want, and learning how the library can help. So I kind of like to think of OERs in the classroom just like anything else that is challenging and difficult. It's an exciting opportunity that comes with its a learning experience, and that challenges and roadblocks are really just opportunities to be creative and discover new things and learn what it is that students want or need. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Yay, so exciting. So why OERs? We kind of talked about this a little bit, but equity, it allows access of information, which is really important for libraries, but also something that we want to promote in classrooms too, with the materials that students need to use. Flexibility, it allows the teacher to use materials that best meet the needs of the student, not necessarily just what's in the textbook. Now, there was a presentation back in the beginning of September. It was called Introduction to OERs. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know, and you can send you the link. But one of the things I talked about in that session was when I was teaching, I felt like I had to teach the textbook because students bought the textbook, and I felt guilty if they needed, if they felt like they weren't using the textbook. I felt like, well, we've got to teach the textbook because they purchased it. Whereas I felt like sometimes my class was actually moving in a different direction. Maybe we needed some different kinds of materials. And so flexibility allows not only flexibility for student access, but also for instructor engagement with resources and flexibility in what you can teach and how you teach it. And then it also improves retention. So I'm actually going to drop a couple links into the chat for you. There was some research that was found about the benefits of OERs, but one of the things that was really interesting to me was that some students will actually defer a course if they cannot afford the textbook. And when you defer a course, that can obviously disrupt the ways that you go through your academic career. And so that can cause you to be a little bit behind maybe. It may cause your classes to be out of order. There's a lot of consequences that come with that, with pushing a class back until you can afford to participate in the class. And then of course, some students participate in a class without ever opening their textbook because they never purchased it. And that can cause them to feel behind. That can actually cause them to literally be behind. And I know that as a former instructor, but also I'm sure that you experience it as an instructor as well, that when the students don't do the reading and when students aren't able to access the materials, it does cause a conflict of progress in the class. It's not as successful. It can feel very frustrating too. So I've highlighted some very specific resources that contain OERs for certain subjects. I will go ahead and tell you that it depends on how you want to find the materials that you would like to use in your class. So some of these you'll see Open NCCC. That is actually a repository where information is kept and you can search for certain materials. It's not an individual textbook that is immediately in front of you. You have to actually look for it. Same way with these next 3 links, OERs for Humanities, they're labeled all the same just because they cover the same repositories. There may be a few different repositories here and there on the different pages, but for the most part, they are the same. Whereas OERs for Humanities, including art and literature, these more specific ones here, OERs for art and art history, many of those resources actually contain textbooks. They are the individual texts that you might use in a classroom. So I'm going to show you the differences. You may have already seen this, which is, if you're like, I've already seen this, that is totally fine. I just want you to get a feel for what to expect. So Open NCCC, obviously you can look for certain types of materials. It can be based on subject, and you can also look for education level, or you can browse by format, type, subject, community college, creator. It really depends on how you want to search. So let's look at all the resources. You can see here, arts and humanity. And then you can get more specific here on the left-hand side. You've got your English courses here, and then you can look at your 112 results. Again, that's a lot to look at, but then you can decide what it is that you would be interested in using. And many of these are the same in the sense that they are LibGuides from other colleges that will show you other repositories that you can then investigate. They look very similar to one another. Visually, they might be very similar, but there's going to be some differences there too. So you have Project Gutenberg, which a lot of folks know about, free ebooks, and that is something that you can explore more if you would like. Yes, it is so great. There are so many resources available, and that is an OER resource. And so students probably have interacted with that previously. and they may not know it as an OER resource, which I think, and this gets a little off topic, but stay with me, is that it can feel empowering, I think, because I think students know now, oh, I've used this before. I don't feel totally lost when it comes to using OERs. I know how to use them. It just might visually look different, have a different visual representation, but students can feel a little grounded in the fact that they've seen these things before. The other things you might think about are, I'm going to show you one here, OERs for art and art history down here at the bottom of this slide. You can see here, art appreciation. If I click on this text here, this link, hopefully it will open up into the right thing. Oh, yikes, maybe not that. Let's see if we can find something different. So introduction to art. Now you've opened up into an actual textbook itself. And so this is nice because it's already there. It's a textbook that you can go ahead and say, oh, this is something I want to use in my class. But again, the problem is that if it doesn't fit what you want, then it may not feel super relevant. But you can see here, there's open courses, images and videos. So there's lots to choose from. We've got more OERs for art and art history. That's a different link. Understanding music, past and present. OERs for music, OERs for fine arts. So there's lots out there, but it can be extremely overwhelming. And that's kind of where the library wants to help you. And wants you to feel successful is one study found that the hardest part, or the part that faculty said was one of the hardest parts of OERs, was discoverability. And I'm going to actually drop that study into the chat. Of course, there are limitations to this study, but it gives a good perspective. Other things to think about that are challenging about incorporating OERs into the classroom, besides the fact of discoverability, is time. It takes a lot of time to get your class on an OER platform, to get accessible resources, to ensure that the links work. Just like we clicked on that link and it was like, hi, security alert. That happens a lot. There are a lot of OER resources that I was looking at just the other day. The links worked, went back to them, they're gone. So finding stable resources can be challenging as well. And the unknown. A lot of us haven't been part of the OER environment for very long. And so it's new and it can be very challenging. So there's a lot of, I don't want to say scary things, but there's a lot of time intensive, overwhelming things that can be part of OERs. So in thinking about the barriers and challenges, you want to think through some questions, and the library can help you think through these questions too, which is, what do you want to be able to do? Or another way of thinking about it is, what do you want your students to be able to learn or know? What do they need to be able to learn or know? What questions or concerns do you have when you think about incorporating OERs into your classroom? And then how can the library help and support you? And these questions aren't things that you just answer and then you're never going to answer them or ask them again. It's really a process. That information creation as a process really rings true with OERs. And so when you get to the point where you are ready to move your course towards OERs, these are some things that you would want to think about, but this is something that the library can help you work through as well. I found out several resources actually about the ways in which that are kind of like activity sheets that can help you think through what it is that you want OERs to be able to do for you. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know, and I'll see if I can investigate a little bit more to see if I can get a good link for you on that. But in thinking through some of the challenges and barriers and the frustrations, but also the benefits, do you have any questions about OERs that you can think of right now, or things that you're thinking about when you think about OERs? And that's totally fine. This is one of those things that is really the start of a conversation. So if you find something or you think of something, we want to support you and help you. So feel free. Let us know what questions you have. I'm going to actually drop a link into the chat. It is a Google form that will allow you to tell us what you think or what you're thinking about when it comes to OERs. This is something that you can certainly fill out now. You're absolutely welcome to. But you can also hold on to that link, and you can use it whenever you feel like you have a question and you want to ask those questions. Of course, you can email, but if you feel more comfortable with the form or you prefer the form, you can always use that as well. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. And then finally, we want you to contact us. I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't know everything there is to know about OERs. I'm still learning. Every day someone or something comes up that is about OERs or about new information in the library world. And I think to myself, I really do not know the answers to that question, but I will find it. And so it will maybe take us a little while to hunt down the information, but we can definitely investigate it and figure out what the next sort of step is in the process. So you can always contact us. There is Mari and Allison and my and Dana's contact information. You can contact us based on what you need, or you can contact us based on campus. Mari and Allison are at Lee, I'm at Harnett, and Dana is at Chatham. And then if you're thinking more along the lines of, I really just need help with finding instructional materials and OERs. That might be something that we would say, okay, well, let's see what Allison can help us with, because she's our instructional services librarian. Or maybe you know people that want to just chat about OERs and you're just like, I just want someone to get excited about OERs. You just call me up. Well, I can get excited about a lot of things, and OERs are very exciting. Same way with digital accessibility. Mari is our digital services librarian, so she can help with getting those things integrated. And so we'll absolutely help you, whatever aspect or facet it is that you're working on, so that you feel comfortable and confident in using OERs in the classroom. And then, of course, you can also set up a conversation with us. This is just the beginning, so if you are interested, but like, I really got to chat more about this before I get involved and jump on the bandwagon, I get that. There's that link there if you want to make an appointment, and we can set up a time where we can just talk OERs and investigate things, answer questions, that kind of thing. Anybody have any final questions, any concerns, anything you're thinking about? So this presentation really was only intended to last about 30 minutes. Yes, Ashley, I know you're so great about reaching out, which we really appreciate. And so this is really just meant to be kind of an opening discussion. So that's pretty much it, all that we have right now for this presentation, but hopefully it will spark some curiosity and some interest, and just feel free to let us know. Yes, thank you.